Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne, the Learner Lawyer. I hope you are doing well. Everything's a bit of I don't know what's going on here. Hello, Doom. How are you? Oh, I heard you got another shout out too by a certain person I won't mention. Thought it was very interesting. So the chat's not coming up on my screen. So that's good. You're here for the tea, Doom. Good. Yeah, so there's been a new filing today. There has been a whole pile of things happening. I'm very concerned that, a very important issue that needs to be drawn to light is actually going to be, Plan to Create says, I'm early. Yeah, I am actually. I just finished uni and just finished my criminal procedure and policy class. So now we're going through the process of all the fun stuff, arrests and trial, what the processes of a trial, whether it's indictable or a summary offence. And the lecturer for this was the lawyer for those of you in Australia, the Burke Street, the guy that drove his car into the crowd of Burke Street. And he was his lawyer. He does a lot of pro bono stuff as well. He's done some high profile stuff, but he's one of the top criminal barristers in the state. And he did that case because the guy he actually said he should never have been found fit for trial, but because they found him fit for trial, they couldn't come up that there was no defence. So he got 47 years, 45 years. So hello, the Fox, how are you? So yeah, I can't. None of the stuff's coming up. So Doom is here for the tea, right? But also, I need to talk about the latest on the Barilaro job for the boys because on next week, his senior counsel of his department and one of his ex-staffers are facing the committee. So we're going to hopefully find out a little bit more about that. We had an appeal from Christian Porter and his barrister Sue Chrysanthu today against legal fees. That got thrown out today. So not only do they have to pay I guess costs, there'll be a cost now. So the $432,000 already still stands, and now they're going to have the added costs added to that as well. But let's start with our case here. So because this is the reply in. Well, did I do this one? No, I don't think so. Okay. So this is the reply in support of motion to dismiss counterclaims. So Katie Joe responded. So they've responded. This is their response to that. So let's have a look. Okay. So I'll just make this bigger. This was filed on the 13th. So what date are we today? I don't even know what date it is. Oh, yes, it was filed. It was filed. Was that? I'm so out of it. I have no idea what date it is. Does anybody know what time it is? It's the 14th. Right. So this was filed yesterday. Yeah. All right. So reply in support of motion to dismiss. Counterclaim. So they've said Catherine Paulson's opposition to Todd Chrisley's motion to dismiss confirms that Miss Paulson has failed to plead viable claims for defamation, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Miss Paulson makes no effort to distinguish controlling authority that dooms. Hey, just Doom! You got called out! Sorry, I'm in that mood. That dooms her counterclaim. I know, I think I'm funny. Oh, jeez, I'm sad. All right. Miss Paulson's defamation counterclaim is deficiently pled. Minnesota law holds that defamation suits. Doom says, "Yay, yay, a shout out in the lawsuit. I'm famous." Yes, you're famous. When will I be famous? Anyway, all right. Let me be serious here. Miss Paulson's defamation counterclaim is deficiently pled. Minnesota law holds that defamation suits require greater specificity in pleading than suits alleging other claims. And Minnesota courts have generally required the defamatory matter to be set out verbatim to avoid dismissal. And this was seen in Hunter versus Coghlan. And in that case, they cited Moreno versus Crookston Times Printing Co. and Stedbowers versus Lange. A party alleging defamation must plead specific alleged defamatory words. It is not sufficient to merely state the effect of the language or that the publication was a certain defamatory tenor and import. So this is from Book Co. versus Kingdom Publication. Miss Paulson does not and cannot argue that her defamation counterclaim is sufficiently pled under this controlling authority. Outside of a single non-defamatory quotation from Mr. Chrisley, Miss Paulson fails to provide even an approximation of any actual statements she claims to be defamatory. So remember, the one that did get pled was that she didn't know God. Minnesota courts have dismissed defamation claims far more detailed than the issue here as deficiently pled. Miss Paulson ignores the binding precedent in her opposition and instead simply asserts that Minnesota law does not require absolute specificity in pleading. But the rule discussed above is entirely consistent with Minnesota's liberal notice pleading standard. Absent some indication of what Mr. Chrisley is alleged to have said, when and to whom, Mr. Chrisley lacks notice sufficient to defend himself. The problem is exacerbated by the fact that Miss Paulson apparently bases her defamation claims against Mr. Chrisley not only on Mr. Chrisley's own unspecified statements concerning Miss Paulson, but on unspecified statements made by and about third parties. Now, let me just tell you, I've just started my defamation section. What we have to do in Australia is we have to actually state this is what was said, and this can be seen in this article, it was said on this website, da 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 da. That's what we have to do in Australia. So she refers to a podcast. So they're saying that she hasn't actually gone into enough detail to indicate what was said, what the exact defamatory statements were, and where they were. She just mentions a podcast. Counterclaim. The uncertainty, so there's a footnote here, counterclaim. So it says, as explained in Mr. Chrisley's opening brief, such statements are non-defamatory as a matter of law. And then there's some stuff there. So remember about this, he acts this way because she acts this way because she doesn't know God or something. If you remember, I can't remember the exact word, but that's okay. So the uncertainty this creates illustrates precisely why courts in Minnesota and other jurisdictions require a plaintiff to bring defamation claim to identify allegedly defamatory statements with reasonable specificity. Ms. Paulson states no authority excusing her inadequate pleading, while she provides a parenthetical claiming that either in Walsh versus US Bank, Barton versus Moore, held that a claim for defamation is sufficient to survive a motion to dismiss, when a plaintiff pleadings sufficiently put the defendant on notice that he participated in the commission of defamation. Op-ed 2, neither that holding nor anything like it appears in either case. In fact, neither case involved defamation at all. Interesting. Moreover, while Ms. Poston seems to suggest that defamation per se is exempted from the general rule requiring pleading claims for defamation, that is plainly not the case. Minnesota courts have dismissed claims for defamation per se, like that at the issue here, where the plaintiff has pled only vague allegations that the defendant falsely claimed that the plaintiff had committed criminal acts at Section 3. So remember, she talks about extortion being a crime. She's alluding that he's some of the things that she alluded to. And remember, at that time, he hadn't had his court case, so he technically, officially wasn't he hadn't been found guilty of any crime at that point in time. So by alluding that he was a criminal. Finally, as explained in Mr. Chrisley's opening brief, the only specific statement Ms. Poston identifies in her counterclaim is not defamatory as a matter of law. It cannot be proven true or false and is mere rhetorical hyperbole and is considered non-actionable. Ms. Poston does not respond to the argument in her opposition or otherwise attempt to salvage her defamation claim as to that specific statement. So what they're saying is that she hasn't actually confirmed or denied anything about the statement of whether she knows God or not. She's not put an argument towards it. Because why? It's not defamatory. The court should thus dismiss Ms. Poston's defamatory claim in its entirety. She abandons her harassment claim. Ms. Poston also brings a claim for harassment under the Minnesota Criminal Code in her counterclaim. As Mr. Chrisley explains in his opening brief, no such action exists under Minnesota law. Ms. Poston does not contend otherwise in her opposition brief. Indeed, she does not mention her claim at all and apparently abandons it. It should be dismissed. So she's not mentioned it in her response. So they're saying, well, she's not contended it. She's not brought up anything about it, so they may as well dismiss it. So remember, they put forward their response to the counterclaim. She's responded. This is their response. So Ms. Poston's claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress fails because she alleges neither severe emotional distress nor extreme and outrageous conduct. And to me, and here's the thing, this is my big thing. How can she prove that it was Todd Chrisley that was behind the swatting when there is so many videos and so many times everybody else has been blamed for it? As Mr. Chrisley explains in his opening brief, a plaintiff bringing a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress must plead facts showing she suffered severe emotional distress. Generalized complaints of distress are insufficient to amount to distress beyond what a reasonable person could be expected to endure, and thus conclusionary statements are insufficient to survive emotional distress. So, would a reasonable person in her situation be able to endure? So it always comes back to the reasonableness. Would a reasonable person be able? What would a reasonable person in her situation be expected to endure? Is the reasonable test. Clemens versus MRCI Wexels, okay, at 3. Ms. Poston's bare allegation that she suffered general damages, including emotional distress and mental suffering, that's from the counterclaim, falls significantly short of what she must plead to state an IIED claim. See Clemens 2014 at 3. Alstrom versus Independent School District number 270. Okay. Strauss versus Thorne. And Miss Paulson does not respond to this argument in her opposition or address this controlling authority that requires dismissal of her IIED claim. Even had Miss Paulson adequately pled severe emotional distress, she does not plead extreme and outrageous conduct. Paulson alleges that Mr. Chrisley encouraged others to bring lawsuits against her and incited third parties to the point that an anonymous individual swatted her, i.e., made a false police report about her. But as explained in Mr. Chrisley's opening brief, the Minnesota Supreme Court has held that it does not amount to extreme and outrageous conduct where the defendant himself makes frequent threats to bring lawsuits or files false police reports. So in Langs versus KYMN Inc., it is difficult to see how inciting third parties to take these actions can be sufficiently extreme and outrageous support a claim for IIED when taking them directly is not. Ms. Paulson's attempts to distinguish this authority by pointing to Mr. Chrisley's celebrity, but Ms. Paulson fails to cite any case holding that conduct is not ordinary, extreme, and outrageous, may become so if undertaken by a celebrity. Minnesota law treats claims for IIED sharply limited to cases involving particularly egregious facts. Examples include, trigger warning, mutilating a corpse or threatening a schoolgirl with prison and public disgrace unless she signs a confession of immoral conduct. That is what they're stating. Egregious facts. So that's what they're saying would come under. If there was any of those things, then there would be a case for IIED. So this is what the courts of Jeffers versus Convoy. Allegations of harassment and ridicule do not pass muster, because Miss Paulson at most alleges that Mr. Chrisley harassed and ridiculed her. So ridicule is not harassment, according to this Clemens case. Ms. Paulson's IIED claims fail. For the foregoing reasons, the court should dismiss Ms. Paulson's counterclaim against Mr. Chrisley in their entirety. And this is so that is the latest filing. Now, I saw something very interesting earlier today where she said she implied that this case was nearly over, and I'll have to see what I can find it. And I don't know where I saw it. Might have been on Twitter. Somebody had posted it on Twitter, I think. And I thought, this is really interesting, because she's saying she's trying to tell everybody that it's going to be all over Red Rover, and that there's nothing else to talk about. Is that it? I don't know. I've just stuffed up here. Sorry. I can't. My computer's frozen up now. Typical. Where are we? Oops, there we go. Where is it? I'm really not good at this stuff. There's some people that shouldn't have internet channels. All right. So this is something that's interesting. This is it. This was thank you to Without Any Crystal Balls. This is what I copied before. This is what I saw earlier. So it says, thanks to subreddit for catching. So this has been deleted. So this has been deleted now. Okay. So it says, it's come to my attention that Molly Golightly has accused me of lying. I am not in the business of lying. She said that I made a comment that I shouldn't summarize the situation in 30 minutes because she made a summary video. That comment was not about her at all. I have no issues with Molly. I put out information I receive. I have family and sources literally providing me with information. Uh-oh. I was told that DCS is investigating Andrea. That's true. I told you they received over 7,000 calls. That's true. I want to know why the department's telling her how many calls they get. I thought all of that stuff was confidential. But anyway, I said the kids were not removed. That's true. I have been sued by people and have never lost a case. I have never been found liable for defamation. A man that was convicted of bank fraud is one of those people who sued me. That case is in the process of coming to a close. Really? Coming to a close? Really? This isn't a competition. I'm not asking anyone not to follow Molly or not follow me. Making this into a turf war helps nobody. I said on my live 2 days ago that I wouldn't get into a fight, and I won't. My credibility has been attacked when I haven't lied. She stated what she knew, and it was what I knew. There is room for everyone. It's a case of I had the case first. So what is really, really interesting in this is that she's saying a man convicted of bank fraud is one of the people suing me, and that case is coming to a close. Does that look like that's coming to a close? I don't think so. Only in her dreams. Because there's still more filings going on. From what we've got filings happening. I've not seen I've not seen a dismissal. I've not seen anything filed to say that it needs to be dismissed. So I have no idea what on earth is going on. All right. Might help. It might help if I actually went into live chat, hey? Because I've got no chat feature. So, what do you think? Is she right? Is the case coming to a very quick close? Or is she dreaming? What's that line from the castle? Tell them she's dreaming. Tell her she's dreaming. Yeah, so anyway, that's where we are with the Katie Joy case. So, if you followed on my community tab, you would have seen I would have posted a lot of the updates of the Barilaro case. But it's not looking good. I think there's going to be, it's been referred to ICAC, his position, the job that he got. So, all right. So let's have a look at what happened. Now, I believe that the judgment is still not live on this because they wanted to make sure that all sensitive information was redacted. I'm just seeing whether it has been put here. No. So there was a judgment today in this matter, which is Charles Christian Porter versus Joanne Elizabeth Dyer and another. There was a judgment today that was handed down. So essentially what happened was Sukrisanthu, which was, Braz's lawyer. She was the lawyer here first, and case management judge he appealed it because they had to pay a fee of her court fees because she won. So this is the summary. So it says Christian Porter loses. Hello, Cal. Christian Porter loses appeal against judgment to remove lawyer Sukrisanthu and in settled defamation case against the ABC. So at the time, he was the former Attorney General, has lost his federal court battle over a ruling that saw his lawyer from his defamation case against the ABC. It was deemed a conflict of interest. Mr. Porter took legal action against the ABC over a story about an unnamed cabinet minister accused of an alleged historical right? He revealed himself to be the subject of the allegations, but denied any wrongdoings. He abandoned the case last year in a settlement with the ABC with no damages paid. They did actually they had to put something on their website to say they had to put something on their website. But Mr. Porter appealed the ruling and had been made separate to the main case. Joe Dyer, a friend of the woman who made the allegation against Mr. Porter, made a surprise challenge to his lawyer, Sue Chrysanthou's role. Ms. Dyer said she earlier sought some legal advice from Ms. Chrysanthou about related issues and was concerned she had material from the consultation that might be useful in Mr. Porter's case. The initial decision to restrain Ms. Chrysanthou from being part of the defamation case cited the danger of misuse of confidential information received by her in dealings with Ms. Dyer and the need to protect the integrity of the judicial process, including the appearance of justice. The Mr. Porter's lawyers argued she'd done nothing wrong, and then that she had the first year. On Thursday, 3 federal court judges agreed, dismissing Mr. Porter's appeal against the original decision to remove Ms. Chrysanthou in the case. The judgment means that Mr. Porter and Ms. Chrysanthou will have to pay Ms. Dyer $430,000 in costs. The money had been in the trust, pending the outcome of the appeal. But it will now also, it could be more, because it depends whether they now say that he's going to pay her costs. Now, Joe Dyer made a statement today on the Porter Dyer judgment. So this is her statement. Oh boy, just wait until our FCAC is established. Yeah. Or ICAC, yeah. Federal court, yeah. I know, it's going to be amazing, isn't it, Cal? So this is what Joe Dyer says. This was a simple case about the duty of confidentiality a lawyer owes to a client. Christian Porter was not a party to it until he actively joined himself to it. It remains unclear why he did this and what principle he then chose to appeal Thorley J's original decision. Perhaps one can be more cavalier about litigation if one sources anonymous donations to fund it. It has been 2 years since Kate's tragic death. With this litigation and Mr. Porter's political career now over, it is our fervent wish that Kate can be remembered neither for what was alleged to have been done to her, nor the trauma that flowed from it, but for the brilliant, passionate, curious, and creative daughter, sister, partner, and friend that she was. She is missed and mourned every day. And so that is Joe Dyer's statement on it. There was a little bit of sass in there alluding to the secret trust that we all know that occurred. But overall, she has, So anyway, that the judgment has not been released as because apparently they're looking at redactions, and again, I think it seems to be alluded to that they're trying to keep it hush-hush, but the media's got onto it, which is interesting. So that's that one. So let's look at our mate, the Bruz man. And I hope you're all going well. Ooh. Ah, yes. So there's 2 articles I want to show you, we want to look at. Not my mate. So this is the Financial Review. It's getting big when the Financial Review gets involved. Oops. So investigation widens as Barilaro's case is sent to ICAC. So this is the Independent Commission Against Corruption. So John Barilaro's former advisor and top lawyer at Investment New South Wales have been called to give evidence to an upper house committee examining the former Deputy Premier's appointment to a prestigious US trade post as the state's corruption watchdog weighs up an investigation into the fiasco. The former MP's advisor, Joseph Bradford, and Investment New South Wales former General Counsel Chris Carr have been asked to give evidence to the inquiry next week as the investigation widens into the decision to hand Mr. Barilaro the role. The witness requests came the day after former Investment New South Wales Deputy Secretary Jenny West detailed how she'd been offered the role of Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner to the Americas in August 2021, only for Investment New South Wales Chief Executive Amy Brown to rescind the offer and tell her it would be a present for somebody else. Premier Dominic Perrottet admitted on Tuesday morning that he'd found Miss West's testimony on Monday concerning, and that he'd spoken to the Trade Minister Stuart Ayres on Monday night regarding the comment about the role being a present for somebody. Mr. Ayres emphatically denied that he referred to the trade posting in that matter. Of course he did. He reiterated to me yesterday evening that he categorically denies that he ever made that statement in relation to that, Mr. Perrottet said. The Premier addressed the media as a trove of documents tabled for the committee by Miss West went public and revealed how far Investment New South Wales staff had advanced the preparations for her to take on the trade post in the US before it was rescinded. This is an email. Hey, hi Jenny, many thanks for sending this out so clearly. I'm comfortable with the package you've outlined, including an additional $15,000 living allowance and utilisation of Deletti for taxation advice. Hey, Barilaro got 90,000 or something. He was getting more than that. If this approval is sufficient, please go ahead and ask Christy to get all the documented. As always, let me know if there's anything you need or would like to discuss. And then this was, hi Jenny, I wanted to drop you a brief note post our discussion yesterday morning, and after looking into what written communication I can and can't provide in the circumstances, I appreciate my last correspondence to you below email, and our chat indicated that I was comfortable for our people and culture team to proceed with formalising appointment documentation on the basis of the package outlined. Given the Deputy Premier has now formally lodged a submission to Cabinet, I won't be able to proceed with finalisations of your contract until I'm aware of contracts of Cabinet's decision. Regards, Amy. So there are two emails sent from Amy Brown to Jenny West. Now, they would actually give you the indication that you're talking about a job. On Tuesday, Greens MP and Upper House Committee Chair Kate Fierman said the committee had sent the transcript from Miss West's hearing on Monday to State's corruption watchdog, as well as the briefing notes recording how she was told the role would be a present for someone else. She said the committee had stopped short of referring the matter to investigation. At this stage, it's not a formal referral by the Public Accountability Committee. An ICAC spokeswoman declined to respond when asked whether it would pursue the issue for investigation after receiving the documents. The Commission cannot confirm or deny if it's received information or referrals, if it is making inquiries, or what it is considering or undertaking investigations. The documents revealed extensive negotiations Miss West had with Miss Brown regarding her salary and living allowances, and how the pair had come to an agreement to hand Miss West an additional $15,000 on top of an initial commitment of $15,000 to cater her rent costs and difference in healthcare and tuition fees for her daughter. The dossier revealed a string of text messages from the Investment New South Wales Human Resources Executive, Christy Manton, where Miss West was given several assurances that her contract was on the way and the agency was working out tax preparations. In addition to the Upper House inquiry, the former Productivity Commission boss, Graham Head, is currently investigating Mr. Barilaro's appointment as part of an inquiry commissioned by the Premier. Mr. Perrottet said he would immediately adopt any measures recommended by the investigation. It's important there is public confidence in any government and that proper processes need to be followed. Mr. Barilaro withdrew from the job 2 weeks ago, saying scrutiny of the appointment and media interest had rendered it untenable for him to take the role. He even vowed he'd followed all the appropriate processes. His former advisor, Joseph Brayford's name was the first raised in front of the committee 2 weeks ago, when Investment New South Wales Chief Executive Amy Brown revealed that she had been asked to brief him on how the appointment to the trade role would be made. Didn't he give evidence? In Barilaro's defamation hearing as well? So Mr. Brayford made it clear that the Deputy Premier wanted to know the various mechanisms for which the STIC's Senior Trade Investment Commissioners be appointed. She told the hearing Mr. Carr's name was first raised in the inquiry by Jenny West, who was then offered the role and had rescinded after it was reclassified as a ministerial role. Mr. Carr's was the agency's general counsel at the time and allegedly told Miss West he was horrified that she had been selected for the trade position only to have the offer rescinded and that her original role made redundant. You're uprooting your family, your life to go to another country, then they do this to you. If it was me, I'd be bitterly disappointed, Mr. Carr is alleged to have said. So as the Paratai government continues to weather the pressure over the appointment and revelations of poor treatment of a highly regarded public servant, opposition leader Chris Minns accused the government of handing out jobs for mates. This is what happens when an honest public servant steps in the way of a job for mate of the New South Wales Premier. Her job was pulled from her. She was sacked from her existing position, and then we find out there was an investigation into her conduct after she left the public service. I think it's a shameful way. That's it. All right, so then this is video. Okay, so let's have a look at this.
She's the former public servant thrust into the spotlight because of how she lost a job to John Barilaro. And now Jenny West's words are reverberating through Macquarie Street.
Obviously, the reports that I saw yesterday are concerning. There is absolutely no place for gifts of government jobs.
Ms. West told...
Did you see? Look at this guy's face here. Let's have a look. See if I can take it back a little bit. Look at his face. Oh, look. Oh, yeah, look. Look at the face. Look at him. That's the Treasurer, I think, isn't it? That's the Treasurer. That's the Premier. Look at his face. Is that the I think that's New South Wales Treasurer. I don't think my New South Wales people are here.
Gifts of government jobs.
Ms. West.
Let's have a look at that again. He sticks his tongue out, I think. There we go. There's the tongue. I don't want to say, oh, look at that face. Oh, he's asleep. Oh, he's bored. I'm sorry. You know what they say, small things amuse small minds. Oops, he's not happy there.
The reports that I saw yesterday are concerning. There is absolutely no place for gifts of government jobs.
Ms. West told a parliamentary inquiry that when senior bureaucrat Amy Brown withdrew her job offer for the Trade Commissioner role in New York, Ms. Brown also said it was going to be a present for someone. Surely you, right now, are trying to get to the bottom of who said that to Amy Brown.
I've obviously...
Oh.
To Amy Brown.
The fingers are pointing. Look at the fingers going.
Right now, trying to get to the bottom of who said that to Amy Brown.
I've obviously spoken to the Minister in respect of that. He categorically denies that he would ever make any statement in relation to that.
The Minister is Stuart Ayres.
Well done on the body language, Joe. And now this is the Minister in question. This is Stuart Ayres. Oh yeah, he looks like you could believe everything that he's got to say. Oh, see, even he's bored. He's got his eyes closed. Whoops. Deer in headlight moment.
In relation
to... I'm lost here.
To that.
The Minister is Stuart Ayres. Both he and the Premier have stated there was no suitable candidate in the first recruitment round.
Oh, what a lovely group here. He's going, I hope I don't get caught.
Suitable candidate in the first recruitment round.
That is the advice that I have still received, and nothing has changed.
But a briefing note to the then Premier Gladys Berejiklian last August has been released. It says Jenny West has been identified as the successful candidate.
Now, tell me, how does this go? How does he get told? How does it go from him being told that there was no suitable candidate to there being a briefing note to say that there was a suitable candidate? Who's telling Porkies? Have a listen.
Nothing has changed.
But a briefing note,
Well,
Still received. And that is the advice that I
first recruitment round.
that is the advice that I have still received. And nothing has changed.
But a briefing note to the then Premier Gladys Berejiklian last August has been released. It says Jenny West has been identified as the successful candidate, and the Deputy Premier, who was John Barilaro, and the Treasurer, Dominic Perrottet, will be notified.
Treasurer. How did he not know? He was the treasurer. How did he miss that memo?
As the successful candidate, and the Deputy Premier, who was John Barilaro, and the Treasurer, Dominic Perrottet, will be notified. Jenny West's evidence has now been passed on to the Independent Commission Against Corruption.
The extraordinary evidence by Ms. West that this role was a present for someone was something the committee could not ignore, hence it was off to ICAC.
Now it's up to the ICAC whether to consider it. This controversy is already subject to other investigations.
So, very interesting, isn't it?
The parliamentary inquiry, which will sit again next Tuesday, and the internal review. So if the government was hoping for a quick resolution once John Barilaro withdrew, it was sorely mistaken. Ashley Raper, ABC News, Sydney.
So, yes, very interesting. And that was interesting because it was referred to in the hearing that the treasurer was informed. So he had to have known. So he didn't. They have so nice. They think they're above the law. Yeah. Oh, look, it's So now the opposition's calling for that Amy Brown to lose her role because of the fact that she's probably going to lose her job over this, probably because no politician can take the blame, obviously. How dare they? So it's definitely a huge scandal. Hello, Will. How are you? I'm onto the John Barilaro fallout and how it's now been investigated by the corruption committee. We've done the Katie Joy stuff as well, so some of that. So yeah, how are you going, Will? You're so cool. You got to wear shades, hey? So, yes. So, based on what we've seen tonight, what does everyone think? What's everyone's thoughts on the as I said, she has made the claim that her case against Chrisley is nearing conclusion, which I don't know how she can. When there was a new filing. I'm all right at work, haven't started yet. Oh, well, that's all right then. So I know that Katie Joy's cashing in on this what is it? Dre matter. I know about it. I think though it's really important that what's happened to him is spoken about, but not obsessed over and not money made out of it. I just find it very concerning. So just to show you again, this is what it has been. This is the subreddit's put this together, shared by Without Any Crystal Balls, where she talks about she's not in the business of lying. Since now She's now, yes, I saw that. She's now, I think it's going to be lucky if she doesn't get sued by Dre, since she's now accusing her of drug smuggling. I saw that drug smuggling. I've never heard of drug smuggling. Are they what they call the drugs that put you to sleep? Or do you smuggle them at night? So in this one, she's saying a man convicted of bank fraud is one of the people who sued me. That case is in the process of coming to a close. Surprised you didn't jump on the Depp Heard train. You know what, Cal? I could have if I wanted to make lots of money, because everybody that jumped on that train made lots of money, but I don't do it for money. I don't do the cases to make money. I do them to, so, and apparently she's got sources and, all of that stuff. Perhaps she meant to say Robert Shin did illegal human text. Or maybe that's the problem, that she's been misunderstood. She didn't say he was trafficking. She meant he was texting. Yeah. I mean, I'm only like hell. I'm doing the Katie Joy stuff because I was a fan of hers, and then I saw the light, and I'm just a lot of the stuff, particularly what she's doing now, in my opinion, is very it could be deemed dangerous. I mean, getting people to what she's doing is what she's accused chrisley of doing, really, because she's talking about all the calls that CPS have had about the family, that Dre's kids, and saying that what she's doing is harming her kids, and she's putting that on her platform, and so that's causing her fans and subs to ring the authorities. That's exactly what she's accused chrisley of doing to her. I mean, she's really causing the family, if we use her logic, emotional distress, to be honest. Let's face it. You can't complain that someone's treating you a certain way and things are happening and then be doing the exact same thing to somebody else. That's hypocritical, in my opinion. So yeah, that's But anyway, I've got some stuff to do. I've got to work tomorrow, back at school, because holidays is now over. And I've got a big weekend and big week. And as I said, uni started today, and I did a whole pile of, I think Dre's either consciously feeling responsible from it and is scared she is going to get charged with murder or something. Well, maybe, but I mean, but that's not for me or you. Well, that's not for you and I to decide whether she's committed a crime or not. That's for law enforcement to do. And there are laws that outline that. Just as I said, you missed the start, but my criminal procedure and policy lecturer is a top criminal barrister, and has represented some of the infamous people where I live, and he's talked about a few stuff, and he said, whether we like it or not, I mean, the fact is everybody is entitled to representation. Everybody is entitled to certain rights. And the law has tried to make that. But a lot of the stuff but it's not up to us to say whether someone is innocent or guilty. That's up to the courts to decide. Although we know that for some of them are guilty and they plead guilty. But in most cases, the stuff's put to the courts and the courts decide. But it's not up to, just because I don't agree with people drinking alcohol doesn't mean that somebody that gives somebody alcohol is wrong. I mean, there are rules against that. I mean, in Australia, if you're under 18, it's underage drinking, and that is a crime. But you report the crime, the authorities investigate and charge appropriately or do appropriately. That's not up for me to say. Plus, I don't know. Different states also have different laws. What is good in one state may not be right in another state, although our defamation laws are now uniform. We actually have uniform defamation laws, believe it or not. And we have a federal code and a civil and a state code for laws. So it's just, and I can understand if you're scared. When people are scared, they do stupid things. When people are scared, it's like when people are suffering from depression. And I don't know but I don't know a lot. I've just seen snippets of what people have posted about what Katie Joy have said. And as I said, I've got nothing to prove or deny what's been said. But if the police are investigating, let them do their job. Let them make that decision. And if you're going to make money for it, well, at least do something so that, the money's going to the guy's medical expenses or something, because that to me is the best thing you can do. I just to finish up, I wanted to show you this. This was on my community tab, and I just think it's gold myself. Let me just show this. And I saw this the other day. So this is what I'm going to end on. And this I found on the internet, and I think this sums up. Katie Joy must be making some money. She's just got new patio down, and Toad is building a new guitar for Vicky apparently. So this is a so it says dictionary, a Barilaro. So there's a new phrase. So you can now refer, if this happens, you can refer to it as Barilaro. The use of one's power or authority to reject an already successful applicant for any position or role in order to grant it to a personal friend, family, or associate. After Sarah acquired the job of manager at her local bank, a senior executive did a Barilaro and gave the job to his cousin Johnny instead. So we now have a meaning for it. It's called Barilaro. So you can do a Barilaro. Oh, look, I told you, I'm just really weird. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. Just to let you know, I did really well. I did good in 3 of my exams. 1 exam, I dropped the bundle. I now have to have a meeting with the unit chair to see what I do. I think I can resit the exam or have a second chance. Or worst case scenario, I've got to redo the unit again. But, I considering legal speech is pretty shocking. I'm just getting my head around it. Catch you later. Depp has donated, not pledged, in the face of Amber's embarrassment. Wow, to the Children's Hospital. That's good. Yeah. Good. He seems to be a pretty generous guy, from what I can see. What I can tell. So anyway. So yeah, so thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. What unit was it? It was my torts unit. Plan to create. I passed criminal. I passed contract law. I'm now doing commercial law and policy of misleading conduct, which defamation comes in. Believe it or not, defamation comes in under misleading conduct. It talks about the Australian consumer law and criminal procedure and policy. So yeah. So I've just got to now sort out what I'm going to do with torts law. I reckon but the interesting thing when I say that I missed out by 3 marks of passing. So that was a bit annoying. Very annoying. But anyway, that's life. But it's interesting because a lot of people have quite a few people didn't do well in contract law where I did that. But yeah, so anyway, it's just, I think it was just it's a whole. Hopefully, you can reset. I'm hoping that I can reset the exam. I know that they do supplementary exams, so at the end of the unit, so it will mean that I'll have 4 exams again because I'm only doing 3 units. I'm doing the minimum amount that I can do. I'm doing 3 units this trimester, and then I'm doing a summer unit. So if I have to reset it, I'm going to try and reset it over the summer. If I've got to redo it, so that gives me 2 units, and that way, when I go back next year, when we start back next year, I actually will still. I won't have dropped anything. I'll be exactly where I'm supposed to be. So. Yeah, I've got a meeting and then I've got a meeting with student services to sit down and try and plan out all the rest of the units I need to do. So anyway, as I said, I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope that you will join me again next time that I'm live. I will keep doing videos. But yeah, if you can hit like and subscribe, tell me what you think in the comments if you're on the replay crew about what we've talked about. You know, Porter losing his appeal. What did we talk about? The Barilaro saga. It's called the Barilaro saga now. Do you know someone that's done a Barilaro? What do you think about the Chrisley case? But it's far from over from what I can see. Local took his stepbrother has now been taken for allegedly. Wow, Cal, that is not good, is it? Wow. I might have to try and look into that, but that's not good. Oh, it could work out well for Cleo's abductor because I mean, a lot. If they can show there's a history. Coffee House Crime actually did a very severely messed up. Coffee House Crime did a very good video on the Cleo case. Let me see if I can find it. They did a very, very nice, yeah, his son is solved. Yeah, he did a very nice video on it. I'll post it here for you all. And he called it Snatch from a Campsite. And he goes in and he might get some company input. He might do, but oh look, my chat's now worked. Why has my chat suddenly worked? Funny. So if you want to look at that video, watch that video because that video is Coffee House Crimes, and he did as I said, it was a very well done video on that. I'm going to just pin that. So I've recommended the channel several times because I really like it. He's got such a smoothing voice. Sometimes I listen to him while I go to sleep. So anyway, yeah, I might have to look at that. Yeah. So anyway, as I said, I'm trying to finish here. So I'll let you all go. Let you go about your days. So I hope you have a good day, evening, night, whatever time it is. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.